name is Salman Hamid, and I'm Assistant Professor of Integrated Science and Humanities at Hampshire College.
I'm Kevin Anderson. I teach courses in film and anthropology at the University of Massachusetts, and this is Film Autopsy. Hello, and welcome to a film essay on The Master. What's it all about? In 5 minutes or less. We're going to attempt to kind of understand and appreciate the new film by Paul Thomas Anderson, starring Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman and Amy Adams and Laura Dern. Salman, I'm going to hand it to you first of all. Why don't you tell us what it's all about, and I'll just let you know if you're right or not.
Okay. Well, first of all, see this film, and we have a separate review of that, so you should see that this review contains spoilers, if there can be any spoilers, because it's very hard to describe the film. Yeah. So first of all, this is a fantastic film, which was very experiential, right? So that's the reason why, even if we give you details, I don't think it can convey the effectiveness of it. So it's a fantastic film, and so what is it all about? Well, to me, the connected theme in there, and there are multiple themes, but the one that really stuck out for me was a love story, and to me, it looked like Philip Seymour Hoffman, the master. Between him and Joaquin Phoenix, who is also his muse. And first of all, these two are actors at the sort of at the top of their game. Their scenes together are spectacular. And there are a lot of scenes when it's just two of them looking at each other. And because that's partly it was because of the processing technique also. So you see them really engrossed in there. And second, they explicitly talk about Philip Seymour Hoffman. He says that he's looking for him, as a muse also. Yeah. And Joaquin Phoenix is the one person that he cannot really master, and that's where when he says well, you are really like a land without latitudes. And he says, if you find something, let me know, right? And there is this scene which really stuck out for me. There is Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman are both in jail for whatever reason, but they are both in jail, and their cells are right next to each other. And there is a long scene where you see Joaquin Phoenix breaking the toilet, going in, explodes into rage. First of all, that's an amazing scene of unidirectional violence. But then when Joaquin Phoenix comes back, and I think that's a scene which really struck out for me.
So they do both get out of jail. Philip Seymour Hoffman gets out of jail before him because he didn't strike one of the police officers.
And when Joaquin Phoenix comes in, and they've had this disagreements and all that stuff, but when they greet each other, they embrace and they fall on the ground. It was primitive. Yeah. It was animal love. It was basic nature, or whatever you want to call it.
It's love and angst.
But so that's why I thought that it was ultimately it was the love story between the two.
And it's about a world where men are in power, but behind the scenes are the roles of women. And Amy Adams' character, who plays, I believe in the story, it's like Philip Seymour Hoffman's character's second wife or maybe third wife. Out in the public sphere, she's rather demure and polite and rather quiet. But behind the scenes, she's not aggressive with Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, but she's very assertive and very directional in terms of what she wants, what she thinks is going on, what she thinks needs to happen. And it's very powerful, and it's very good that we see that. Also, another character played by Laura Dern, who her character isn't really clearly defined, but she's a supporter of Philip Seymour Hoffman's, philosophy and the processing and all this stuff. And she seems rather wealthy, and she has people over into her home and this and that. And at one point, she just questions a very small thing about a change in the book, which is essentially a change in the philosophy that she's subscribing to, which is rather significant. This change in terms of, in his book, he says, we are all that we can remember of ourselves. But in the new editions, he's changed it to, we are all we can imagine ourselves to be. And she says, well, that's quite different. And he explodes at her. So I guess maybe getting back to this issue, I think gender and power are at the heart of this film as well, because again, I don't think it's an accident the film takes place right after World War II. The wars that men wage. Well, the new war is this war for the perfection of the human soul that men need to be done, and it's like the new frontier, and it's defined by men. Not that women are being dragged into this, but it's as if there needs to be another battle, there needs to be another struggle, and it's set up by men.
Well, perhaps a third segment would be linked to that, or the third sort of like the way I thought about that, and that Joaquin Phoenix's character. I mean, it's also like Men Lost, because he doesn't know what to do, and
Right.
and there is this element of transient, like that everything. Either you and that's why there were a lot of scenes of water right behind the boat. So it's a beautifully shot film. So you should definitely see it in big screen. But there are a lot of scenes of just like close up of water behind the boat. And one way is like, well, there is nothing permanent,
Right.
or you can imagine whatever you want to see in there.
Right.
But ultimately, the beginning and the end of the movie, the bookends of that, one was those water scenes, but the other one that really stuck out for me was that who was Joaquin Phoenix really hanging on to out of all of that? Yes, it's a love story, as I mentioned before, like, between Philip Seymour Hoffman and Joaquin Phoenix, but what is Joaquin Phoenix into? And he sort of like found solace in a sand woman, a woman sort of like, sculpted on the beach, and where everybody is like that he must be crazy, but that's where, and that scene kept on coming in, and that he would just lie on top of her and indulge in more activity, more than that. But that almost, it seemed like that was his safe space, solace, and that is also transient because it's on the beach.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to wash away.
Well, and his character, up until the point where he meets up with Philip Seymour Hoffman, I mean, it's like he's skipping across a pond. He's like a stone. Like he sets down as a department store photographer for a little while. Then he's working in the agriculture as an agricultural worker, and then he ends up meeting up with Philip Seymour Hoffman and hanging out with them for a while. And I think it's kind of fun to imagine, like, where will Joaquin Phoenix's character go next? That's true. And I don't know if they'll ever make a film about that, but it's kind of fun to imagine, because Philip Seymour Hoffman's character and his storyline is a little bit more bounded, and it's Joaquin Phoenix's character who's kind of symbolizes this transience.
And in some sense, he himself becomes a transient
ungrounded
in Philip Seymour Hoffman's life, but
Yeah.
but it might have impacted the life. So anyway, so there are many different ways to think about it. I don't think there is a unifying theme, but it is certainly a fantastic film. Experience it on the big screen. Go and watch it. Definitely.
Yeah. We're just trying to offer up a couple different approaches to, deciphering the master.
And if you know what is it about, please write comments,
comments
underneath it.
Underneath, down there somewhere.
Down there, underneath,
You can
under the
comment
YouTube.
away.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I surrender all my love